Justice Stevens has courageously served his country from the moment he enlisted the day before Pearl Harbor to his long and distinguished tenure on the Supreme Court.
The resignation of Justice John Paul Stevens comes as no surprise. The announcement made only 11 days shy of his 90th birthday, and he's already acknowledged in several interviews that he was considering retirement. Stevens, originally known as a centrist, was nominated by President Gerald Ford in 1975 and eventually became the leader of the liberal bloc on the High Court. Stevens sided with the majority back then in reinstating the death penalty and would say in later years he regretted that decision. He voted with the court's liberals in the most contentious cases, including abortion and church-state relations, and he led the dissenters in the case of Bush versus Gore in 2000 that sealed George W. Bush's election. Stevens was also able to draw support from the court's swing votes, including now-retired Sandra Day O'Connor and Justice Anthony Kennedy, in reining in some Bush administration policies, including detention of suspected terrorists and its pushback against global warming activists. Stevens also wrote the majority opinion in a 5-4 decision in a very controversial case in June of 2005. That decision expanded government's eminent domain power to seize private property for private developments such as malls, housing developments, and office parks. President Obama now has his second high court opening to fill. The leading candidates are Solicitor General Elena Kagan and federal appellate judges Merrick Garland and Diane Wood. All are considered liberal-leaning, so the conservative-liberal split on the court will not change. However, in an interview with Newsmax TV in July 2009, Judge Robert Bork, President Reagan's Supreme Court nominee, said he doesn't like the idea of balance on the court.
The balance you're talking about is a political balance. And I don't think the court should be in the business of producing political results, or of having political representation, or producing political balance.
Stevens will work through the remainder of the current Supreme Court session, which is expected to end in late June or early July. That gives the White House plenty of time to pick a successor, and Senate Democrats, with their 59 votes, to conduct confirmation hearings before the next court term begins in October. The Supreme Court was in the news quite a bit this year. During President Obama's State of the Union speech, January 27th, he blasted the Supreme Court justices sitting right there in front of him for their decision on campaign financing.
Last week, the Supreme Court reversed a century of law that I believe will open the floodgates for special interests, including foreign corporations.
The justices who go to the State of the Union speeches do so as a courtesy to the president. Chief Justice John Roberts calls Obama's derisive remarks very troubling and said the annual speech to Congress has degenerated into a political pep rally. He told law students at the University of Alabama last month that he wonders whether justices should even go to the State of the Union. Republican Charles Grassley, a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, tells Newsmax TV Roberts is right on.
Oh, I absolutely agree with him, and I think that for the next few years, particularly if Justice Roberts is still Chief Justice, and he will be unless he passes away, I assume, I hope they don't come, because they were treated badly by the President of the United States. And the President of the United States ought to be the standard for civility in our political system.
Chief Justice Roberts says Stevens enriched the lives of everyone at the court through his intellect, independence, and warm grace. He's the court's last World War II veteran. And here's something else very special. He was at Wrigley Field in Chicago for Game 3 of the 1932 World Series when Babe Ruth hit his famous cold shot home run. Thanks for watching Newsmax TV. I'm Ashley Martella.
Sarah Palin's new book, Going Rogue in American Life, will be released on November 17th. You can be among the first to get your copy. Check out our incredible free offer for Sarah's new book. Just go to Newsmax.com and click on the top banner for this great offer. Act today.